Hey y'all, welcome back to Wind Down Wednesday, the podcast. My name is Morris Haywood, and I'll be your host on this journey. Our mission is to make sure you have the most fabulous wine and a little topic on the side. And my co-host is Jeremy Teal. So welcome to Wind Down Wednesday, the podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. And Jeremy actually took a little bit vacation, and he is doing his thing. You know how busy Jeremy is. But today, I have Dre in the house. Dre is one of my great friends. I appreciate him so very much. He doesn't understand that. You understand?
I understand.
You understand how much I appreciate you?
Yes.
Okay. How much do you understand?
You always say it.
I always say it. Okay. Well, he's joining me today on Wind Down Wednesday, the podcast.
Yeah.
What you been up to? What have you been doing this week?
Getting ready for this challenge we were supposed to do. Well, I have another friend that's going to do it with me.
What challenge is that?
The 75-day challenge.
Oh, okay. Explain that. Explain that for the listeners.
So the 75-day challenge is you work out twice a day. You drink a gallon of water. You pick a diet and stick to it for 75 days straight.
Okay.
You take a progress picture and you read 10 pages of a motivational book every day for 75 days straight. If you miss a day, you start over.
Ooh, so that means if you're at day 10 and you didn't read a book.
If you missed any of those things, you start over.
Oh, wow. So you got to be on your P's and Q's.
Yes.
You whatever. Okay.
So good thing you got me because there's no alcohol for 75 days.
Okay.
So this would be like the last time for like 2.5 months if I get all the way through it.
That's a long time. That's a long time to go without alcohol, to go without anything, to go. So, damn.
Yeah.
So are we going to be able to party?
Y'all will be able to party.
But you come with us?
I can make an appearance, but I probably won't be drinking.
Oh, good Lord. Okay.
I'll probably go to hibernation for the next 75 days.
No, that's a lot. That's 75 days. Let's see that. That's there's 30 days in a month. That's
so
2 months. That's a long time without seeing.
You'll see me. Do everything we do have to be with alcohol?
No, it don't. You're right.
We can do some like athletic or adventurous things. Like we can go for a hike or something. We can go to a book reading. We can do some other stuff other than drink alcohol.
You have a very valid point.
We don't always have to drink every time we hang out.
You're right. We don't. I mean,
although we do.
We typically
don't have
do.
to.
One thing we did, we drank this last weekend. Well,
we drank a little bit.
Did we?
I only had one drink.
Well, we went out 3 nights.
Oh, the whole weekend. I think tomorrow Sunday.
Yeah. So we went out Friday. I saw you Friday for
Friday
the
night with
down.
Wine Down. Yeah, we drank at the Wine Down.
And then Saturday we went to the
Love Language.
Love Language.
Yes.
Did you get a drink there?
Several.
Okay. And then Sunday
and they were strong too. Did you get drinks there?
Well, I only do 1 drink per
venue.
Per venue. Yes.
Well, I had got one and then LD bought one and he bought a double and I had bought a double. So that was 4 drinks. And then I just bought a single. So that was 5 at the place before I even got out afterwards.
Okay. Well, you know what? This is the no judgment free zone.
Oh, I don't care if you judge me or not. I'm grown.
Oh, okay. All right there. Well, today we're going to be drinking some wine.
Just wine.
Just wine. And today's wine is called Llano Escato. Llano Escato. Don't worry, the picture's going to be online. I'm going to post it online.
Okay.
But it is a Burrbon Barrel Aged. And what I do is I read the back of it.
Okay, read the back.
Yeah, read the back. So our Burrbon Barrel Aged Temprano represents a unique and flavorful experience. After 6 months of aging with new toasted French oak, this bold wine spent 3 additional months in used 55-gallon bourbon barrels for added flavor and complexity. Wow, that's good. So Llano makes a lot of different wines, by the way. They make, of course, a white and they make red. But this one's unique because it's been bourbon barreled, and its wine isn't typically bourbon mixed with bourbon.
Well, it's not mixed. It's in the barrel, so it's kind of got the essence, but it's not. It shouldn't be as strong as like a bourbon.
Oh, okay. Look at you. So you're the wine expert. That's the wino tip.
I'm not an expert, but
okay. Well, as you swirl the wine, mm-hmm. Why are you swirling the wine?
To see about how the legs are.
Okay, so I've heard of this. The legs means how sweet it is.
The legs is like the consistency of it. So if you swirl it around and it takes a long time to run down, the longer the legs are.
So when we swirl
it has a thicker mouthfeel. I think that's what that means.
Okay, so when you swirl the wine, when you swirl this one,
mm-hmm.
The lines I see are
it's taking a little while to like drip down. See?
Okay. Huh. And so when we drink it, we should what should be the outcome? Like what should we get? What should we well, never mind. I'm not gonna do that.
Well, when you taste it, you just taste what you taste. Like you just talk about what notes you hit, what it hits. Is it dry? Is it sweet? Things like that.
He's preaching, you guys. This is gonna be our next wine connoisseur.
I don't really drink wine that much.
Why not?
I'm more a tequila person.
Oh, tequila.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look at you. All right, so the way we do this is, just to explain for the audience, is we'll cheers first,
okay.
Then we'll judge second. 1 is it's crap, and then 10 means that it's great.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna do like a little cheers.
Cheers.
Ready? Perfect. And then in Texas, we put our wine on the Okay, so what can you taste from it, Dre?
Let me see.
It's very different. Like it's not your typical red wine, but it's been in a bourbon barrel.
Yeah, it does taste. You can taste the barrel. I don't know. Is it an oak barrel?
That's what I'm tasting. Okay, so I'm tasting. A little bit of.
It does taste oaky to me, and it's aged in an oak barrel. So the oak barrel.
That's what I'm tasting. Okay, so I'm tasting a little bit of.
It does taste oaky to me, and it's aged in an oak barrel. So.
Okay, it's not sweet for sure. It's not sweet,
but it's not dry. It's slightly juicy.
Okay, I can taste it. To me, it seems thick.
Mm-hmm.
That's
also
juicy?
Too, it's chilled.
Oh, wait a minute. No, so just a little backstory on why I chilled it. So typically, Jeremy will come and drink, and he always says he likes chilled wine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've just been in the habit of now chilling my wine before we have it. So yeah, so that's why it's chilled. Red wine is not supposed to be chilled according to...
Typically, you don't chill red wine. White wine and blushes and stuff like that. Okay. Champagne
chill. Okay, because hot champagne is horrible.
It's like sweet beer.
Ugh, I hate that. But the good thing is that we're drinking this, right? We're drinking it and it's good. I enjoy it. I'm gonna give this a good 8.
An 8? Okay.
I'm gonna give this a good 8. Yeah, and I'm giving it an 8 because I would drink this at a party. I would drink this by myself at home. I would drink it with food. There's a lot of places. There's a lot of things that I would drink it with, and it's very versatile. And I wouldn't I wouldn't trash it. I would just drink it.
Yeah, I could drink this. I don't know. Like I said, I don't typically drink wine, but I could drink this.
What would you grade it at?
I'd give it about a 7.
Oh, a 7.
But I think that's good, though.
A 7's good, yeah. A 7 is passing.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you sip it again. So this is good. It's actually really good. I mean, I like bourbon too. That's the reason why I picked it out, because
you like bourbon, yeah.
I like bourbon. I like whiskey, so period. So yeah, this is good. So yeah. So we have graded our wine. Next is our topic. And, the good thing about our topic is that we kind of prepped for it this weekend.
I don't know if we prepped for it. It just came up in conversation.
Yeah. And it's something that's particular to, actually, be particular to anybody, actually, if you think about it. Well, bottom shaming.
Yes.
That's the topic, bottom shaming. Now, the conversation this weekend went like this. So, I was making. We actually no. Actually, let's take it back a step.
Okay.
So we were in Los Angeles a couple weeks ago, and we.
Why you got to bring up Los Angeles?
What doesn't stay in Los Angeles? Okay. Anyway,
it's not Vegas, right?
It's not Vegas. Yes. There we go. So we were in Los Angeles, and there was this guy that was talking to you, and he made the comment of you. What was the comment that he made? What did he say?
Well, let me preface this. Okay. I was not interested in him.
Okay, you're not interested in him.
And he took my disinterest as me being passive.
Okay.
And passivity, if I'm saying it correctly,
okay,
is not typically the trait of a top. So he thought I was a bottom.
Okay.
And he didn't believe that I was a top because I seemed to be playing hard to get when actually I just wasn't interested.
Okay. And so that's where the conversation led to, because I don't have any problem with anybody, but there's being a bottom is there's a certain, in my mind, there's a certain unique trait that you have. For example, and you're not a bottom, but bottoms are typically passive, like you mentioned, in my opinion, in my head, right? They're typically...
No, well, you have those, what they call them, bossy bottoms, or what do they call those?
Bossy bottoms.
It's something. Power bottom.
Oh, power bottoms. But power bottoms are typically, in my mind, they're not masculine.
No,
they're feminine.
They're aggressive.
They're aggressive, yes.
Which is the opposite of passive. So,
but okay, so the guy thought because you were passive, you were a bottom, and there's nothing wrong with being a bottom. My best friends are bottoms.
I love bottoms.
You can tell. I can tell you love bottoms because you're top. But the fact that we stereotype bottoms in ways that make it shameful. I don't have a problem with saying, "Hey, this is my best friend. She's a bottom," or just because you're dressed a certain way that you're a bottom. I don't have a problem with that. But you had a problem with that.
No, I didn't have a problem with anything. I was just saying how interesting it was that bottom shaming usually comes from other bottoms.
Okay, and what's wrong with that?
Well, it's a shaming. Like, what's wrong with that? It's like kind of like a self-hatred kind of thing.
And you say self-hatred like it's not a self-hatred. It's just like two women saying, "Hey, bitch, what's going on?" Or two black people saying,
but
hey,
I'm talking about the whole, like, the labeling, like, he ain't a top, she a bottom. Like that.
What's wrong with saying that? What's wrong with saying she's a bottom?
But the tone is a negative connotation in it.
I don't think it's a negative
connotation. But it is.
How is it? Okay. Let me say, I don't think it's a negative connotation because coming from a bottom, or I'm a versatile person. Coming from a versatile person.
I can't even talk about this.
Yes. Coming from a versatile person, saying someone's a bottom is just like saying someone's a woman, or saying someone's a person, or saying someone's a man or a top.
But the way you say it sometimes, or the way I've heard bottoms say it, be like, "Oh, she a bottom. He ain't no top. That's a bottom."
Well, because, okay, so I'll bring the example up. So like if someone's dressed up in, our minds go to this. If someone's dressed up like a woman, we think that's a bottom. Or someone's very ladylike, we think that they're a bottom. It's not.
But when you say they're a bottom, you don't say, "Oh, they might be a bottom." It's like, they're a bottom. Almost like it's something wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it. We as bottoms, we know other bottoms, and we're okay with pointing out the other bottom. I mean, tops don't do it, but tops could do it. I mean, oh, he a top. I mean, you would probably do it if you were trying to meet somebody on a date, mm-hmm. and they were giving you top vibes. You'd be like, well, you actually did do that. You actually did do that, actually.
Yeah.
When someone gave you top vibes, you're like, well, I can't do this because you're a top.
Right.
That's the same thing as saying that she's a bottom.
It's not the same thing.
How? Yes, it is.
It's not the same. It's a different. It's tone.
Okay,
it's different tones where you say stuff.
So if you say, "Oh, he's the top," then that's different. That's the same as saying, "Oh, he's the bottom. She's the bottom."
Right.
Oh my goodness, Lord Jesus! But there's no shame in that because it's just basically saying you're bottom.
So what is bottom shaming then? They don't have the stereotypical, heteronormative masculinity that you're looking for out of a gay man to be the top, then she's the bottom. It's what comes out, and it seems like
it's negative.
It's a negative connotation when they say that, or when people say that.
Well, I know for me,
and also in that conversation, I think it came up because we saw somebody, and both you and the other person we were like, they're bottom. Like it was just like it was something wrong with them being the bottom.
No, well, no, it wasn't. I think we saw the other person. We thought we thought because they had their ass out, because we went to a restaurant. I'm gonna say it like it is.
That's right.
We went to a restaurant, and
that's right.
The guy was sitting on the chair, and we were like, his back was towards us. And when he was sitting back, you could see his butt crack, and you could see how he was sitting. Immediately, we thought she's the bottom because she has her butt crack out. No man would do that. No straight man would do that, for one. No female would. Well, females may do that, but a bottom or a gay Black male who's very feminine-like would only do that. And that's why we said she's a bottom, because that's what a gay Black man would do. I mean, is that the truth? Is that the truth? I mean, am I not telling the truth?
Not necessarily.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong.
I just think that person was sloppy. And again, when we looked at that person or saw them, was there anything positive about the way they were sitting?
No.
Was there anything like attractive about the way they were sitting?
Hell no.
So to attribute that to like, that must be a bottom, you just like sought out these negative qualities in this person visually and attribute that to being a bottom, which I think is shameful.
Oh my goodness.
Or shaming, rather.
But I'm versatile bottom.
Get it?
The other
all right, get it together.
The other guy that we were sitting with is bottom. She's the bottom. so we can say that about another bottom.
Okay, so let me get this straight. A bottom calling another person bottom is like Black person using the N-word
to another Black
person.
Yes.
And now, this may be off topic, but is that okay? It's socially acceptable.
It's socially acceptable.
Okay. Because bottoms calling other bottoms is socially acceptable. Like when I said that, neither one of you had ever like been confronted by like people saying like, why are bottoms shaming other bottoms? Because it's a socially accepted practice in the gay community, the Black gay community, I know for sure.
Yeah.
Also, it's like a teasing thing. Even if you are a top and your friends are tops, and you do something slightly less than the heteronormative masculinity stereotype, you get called a bottom.
That does happen. You're right. With other tops, you're right. So, but you're saying, but that's not right though, because you're calling them out of their position. I would say the sexual position, because you're in front of tops. If your friends are tops and they call you a bottom, do you get offensive? Do you get offended? Yes, you did get offended. You would get offended, right? So
I don't necessarily get offended.
Well,
I just feel like
don't necessarily doesn't mean yes or no. It just means, I get slightly offended.
No, what I'm saying is that is offensive
to you because you're a top,
but it should also be offensive to people who are bottoms. Because I know plenty, and have had plenty of very masculine, very heteronormative, acting, whatever you want to call, men who prefer to be on bottom in sex.
Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's offensive when you don't want to put a label on it. But if you're okay with your label, then it's not offensive. So me and the other guy at the table, we're okay with our label being bottom, versatile bottom, whatever. We were okay with that. But for someone who doesn't want to be known as a bottom, which I have no idea why you wouldn't want to be known as bottom, and you're masculine and you have a big booty or whatever, then that would be offensive to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's just that's why I think, back to your question, is it okay for like blacks to call other blacks the N-word? And is it okay I think it's socially it's accepted, but it just depends. Like, it's not okay. I guess it's not okay, depending on the situation, depending on the friendship.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to something that you said.
What did I say? I said
self-hatred.
Self-hatred.
You put that in there. Why do you feel like that's something that's an issue?
We were talking about this whole bottom shaming thing and like the attributes that you would say, like, I'm not attracted to this person because they are bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other hand, you are a bottom. And the way that it was coming out, it felt very like the things that you don't like to see in someone else seems very self-hating or deprecating.
Okay. So just to make sure I'm on the same page, what you're saying is when I see it another bottom, and I say, "Oh, she's a bottom," am I hating the other person because of what they are?
Like the tone in which you say it, yeah, it feels like disdain. Like, oh, that's another bottom. Oh, that's a bottom.
Well, I think I said that because I was attracted to that person. And when I found out they were a bottom, it made me feel like, that's a bottom.
Mm.
You know, I felt like there's no way I can get with that. Well, there's no way. I felt myself in my mind. I felt like,
well, how about we talk about this? How about it's nobody's business what anybody is actually until we are ready to have sex with somebody?
Paul, okay, so this is a good one. Because how many times have you been with somebody and you thought they were one thing, but they were actually another?
Not often.
But with the times that you were in that situation, how did you feel after you found out, like when you're in bed? So for example, I'm gonna put this out. You can think about what you're saying. I was talking back in the day, I was talking to a guy who I thought who was sexy as hell. He was tall, light-skinned. Jeremy, don't punch me for saying he's light-skinned. He's tall, light-skinned, and he was everything, very masculine. We got into the bed, he was a bottom. And I wasn't prepared for that. I was really upset because I was thinking he was the top. And because he gave me all these top vibes, and when I finally got in the bed, I had to be the bottom. So I was disappointed because I had to be on top of him, fucking him. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted him to fuck me.
You can always opt out. you don't have to keep going.
Well, but I mean, when you're in the middle of something like that, what you gonna say? Pause, get up?
But how do you get all the way to the middle of something and not have that conversation with that person you're going to be intimate with?
Well, because I was choosing.
You assumed by their behavior that they would be one way.
Yes.
And it's the vice versa. Just because somebody is feminine doesn't necessarily make them a bottom.
Okay, I understand that.
You ever heard of swordfish?
What's that?
Swordfish.
What's that mean?
Like feminine top, blouse.
Oh.
You never heard of these terms?
A swordfish what is a swordfish?
Swordfish. Fish, but got a sword. You never heard of swordfish before?
I don't have to come closer.
You never heard swordfish before?
You never heard
of blouse?
I heard of blouse.
Feminine top.
But I never heard of swordfish.
Oh, really?
So explain to me what a swordfish.
Same thing, it's feminine top.
A feminine top. Oh. A feminine top is a swordfish. That's new. That's new to me. I never heard that. But yeah, he was a swordfish, and he was a cute swordfish at that. But I guess the point is,
but you're versatile. So what difference did it make?
Well, this was before I was versatile.
So you were just traumatized with this experience.
I kind of was. Like,
what did you learn? Did you learn to make sure you get the information up front?
Well, but see, that's the thing, is that there's a point in time where I just didn't want to be too presumptive, and I didn't want to say, oh, because that's another thing. People always say, well, I hear people ask if I'm a top or bottom. That's like a thing, right? Don't you hate when people ask you, are you a top, are you a bottom? Because that's all they really want.
It depends on who it is, and the tone and the conversation.
Okay. So if depending who it is, well, break that out for me, because I'm thinking depending if they're sexy as hell, then it's okay for them to ask if you're bottom, or if you're wanting to have sex with them, it's okay to ask that question. Or if you want to have a relationship, it's not okay. Like, when is it okay to ask that question?
The first thing out of your mouth can be, are you a top or bottom?
Okay. So is that the second thing that you ask? Are you top or bottom?
No, not necessarily, but things, if it's going that way, then I feel like that conversation would come up.
Okay, so it should come up, but it never came up for me. It never came up for me. I just assume
ever. It doesn't come up ever.
No, with that one instance. Now you're right. I do learn, and I take context clues, and I try to make sure that, if something gets intimate, what are we doing? Are you the top or are you the bottom?
What's going on? Let me know what's happening.
Well, yeah, I do that. Like, I try to do that like on the second or third interaction. So maybe even I try to, if I don't figure it out like by the first interaction, I try to make sure I figure out the second interaction.
So is it like somebody telling somebody trans, like
it kind of is like that.
Like, I need to know some more about you and see how you feel with the information.
It kind of is, but typically that's different, because as gay men, sometimes we don't know. But as a woman to a man, sometimes you do know, but you don't know, or I feel like that's different. So anyways, look at you.
What?
Being a podcaster, asking questions.
Well, I'm just trying to keep the conversation going.
Well, okay. So by the way, this is his first time being on a podcast. Is this your first time being on a podcast?
Yes.
How do you feel?
Feel fine.
You feel fine? Are you a little nervous?
Not anymore.
Okay, I'm glad I was able to break that nervousness down. You're now a virgin anymore with the podcast.
No, I'm not.
Yes. And I can see you as a bottom in the podcast. I'm doing most of the talking.
You
just hear.
Well, you're the host.
Yeah, I'm the host. So that would make me the top.
Oh, is that what that means?
That's what that means.
Okay, so is that whoever hosts the sexual encounter is automatically the top? Is that what that means? Not necessarily.
But typically it should be.
Should it?
It's more attractive if it's the top. If the top is more upfront. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, typically I do prefer to host. However, I do feel like it's more convenient for the bottom to host.
That should be the second hosting platform. The top should always, this is my opinion.
Okay.
This is on my opinion.
Like, where does this come from?
This comes from experience. The top should always, in my opinion, should be the more aggressive, the more upfront, the more, hey, I'm taking charge. The bottom should be more like, I'm coming from a classic era.
Okay, when you say host, what are you talking about? I mean, hosting an event, like whose house you're at.
Yeah, like sexually, right?
Right, but wouldn't it be more convenient for the bottom to host?
No. I think the bottom is getting prepared.
All right, listeners, put in the comments what's more convenient, because I always felt like bottoms are inconvenienced when they come over, and I was like, I don't want to go over your house, but they have to get ready and then get dressed and then leave, as opposed to getting ready and not having to go anywhere.
Well, I like
stay ready.
On that note, we're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna wrap this show up. On that note, we're gonna wrap this up. This is the episode of Wind Down Wednesday, the podcast. And my name is Morris. And we have Dre in the house. Thank you, Dre, for joining us today. Is there any last comments you want to say?
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Well, next time, I know you wanted to have a group. Next time, we're going to have a group.
I've been telling you, you should do like a live broadcast.
I do in love, but it's hard to do that, though. I got to have several microphones.
Well, not like people. everybody talking at once and just like having an audience here while the podcast is happening.
Oh, okay, yeah. I you know what? Me and Jeremy will do that probably as a season ender. Yes, as a
like
season finale. We'll have it at somebody's place and then we'll talk about it. But typically people have really great ideas. So like, for example, your idea, which is great. And by the way, thank you for that. Thank you for the bottom shaming episode, because people definitely, I get it. I get why people feel like there's a shame or the distaste with when people say, oh, she's a bottom or he's a bottom or whatever. But I thought we can do that as bottoms, as
Are you a bottom? Because you start off saying you were verse. Now you keep saying as bottom.
I started off as a bottom.
So you're bottom at heart.
I'm a bottom at heart. Yes, my love is for.
So is there such thing as a verse, or are we done? We can't go.
No, we can talk about this. Yeah, there's such thing as a verse.
Is there such thing as a verse?
There's such thing as a verse. I have.
And is versatility a default? Remember I asked you that.
Oh Lord Jesus.
Remember I asked you that.
Okay, the ending of the show is here. No, I'll answer your question. So you asked the question, is versatile, say it one more time.
Is being versatile a default?
Is being versatile a default? Yes, it is. Is a default, because like my instance where I had the guy that was cute, I thought he was a top, he wanted to be a bottom, I had to do what I had to do, so I had to learn how to be a top. And it's a default. I went on a date recently and I didn't have sex with the person, but we talked about tops and bottoms, and he said he was just a full-on blown out bottom, and I'm saying, okay, well, I guess I'll have to be a top, because he was very attractive. And if we ever go to that route, then I definitely don't mind being the top. He's masculine as I wouldn't guess, but
don't guess.
But this is the problem that I have, and maybe you can help me out, is I expect certain things. So when I have sex with him, I want him to be very masculine. If we have sex, I want him to be very masculine. I don't want him to be like, and then that's the typical bottom behavior, is just panting like a girl. So I want him to
don't hear that negative tone in your voice. Like when you talk about bottom.
What?
It's like a negative tone in your voice. When you play it back, listen how you say, like, I don't want to, like a girl. I don't want, like, that's how you said it. Like,
really?
Nothing wrong with being a girl.
Nothing wrong with being a girl. I'm not judging girls. I'm just saying, when I'm in bed with the guy, I don't want to hear, daddy. I don't want to hear all that.
Would you say that though? All right, I guess this is the end of the show.
Would you say it? Well, you're top. So, well, let me ask you a question about that. Do you mind people calling you daddy while you're doing that?
I do mind, because I'm not daddy aged. Well, maybe I am now. But the first time I got called daddy, I was not expecting it, and I was very much taken aback.
Okay. And how old were they?
They were only like 3 years younger than me.
Okay. And they called you daddy?
Yes.
And they were a bottom? Well, yeah.
In that scenario, yes.
Okay. And were they saying, were they panting like a girl? Were they panting like okay.
No, he is very, very
masculine.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Do you get turned off when the bottom does that?
No.
Okay. When you don't get that, doesn't.
I just got taken aback the first time somebody called me daddy, because I just wasn't expecting it.
Okay.
At 36 years old.
And they said, "Hey, Dad." Oh, they said, "Fuck me, Daddy." Is what they said.
No, it was kind of like an after thing.
They called after you had sex. They said, "Hey, Daddy, thank you for having."
Yeah, it was just like a random, like, not random, but like it was a typical meet somebody. We hung out or whatever, and I'm thinking, okay, we all finished. Let's wrap this thing up. You can go on home. And he was just like, "Oh no, I love to cuddle with daddies." And I'm like, "Excuse me, who's the daddy? You got somebody else coming that I don't know about?" And he was referring to me. So that
and that caught you off guard.
Caught me off guard.
Did it turn you off?
No.
Okay.
But it was just like, okay.
Okay. That's what bottoms do. Yeah. They use those words Because
So that's what I'm saying. So if he was this masculine, heteronormative, like stereotypical guy, even when he's bottoming, he still has to have. He can't call you daddy. He can't do any of that stuff. He's just
that sounds weird though.
What?
It sounds weird when a man that you're fucking calls you daddy. Hey daddy, keep fucking
It's
me.
weird to you. Cause deep down inside, Morris,
I don't want to be called daddy. Or I'm a bottom.
You're a bottom.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Dre, it's been a pleasure. This has been another episode of Wind Down Wednesday, the podcast. And don't forget, we are on platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and we're going to have you back. I'm going to have you back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll come back.
Yeah, we're going to talk about top shaming next.
Is there a top shaming?
There's going to be.
I don't think there's top shaming, but I think there's top, like, people put tops on the pedestal.
Yes, we're gonna talk about that, and Jeremy wants to talk about that. So we're gonna talk about that actually in season 3. By the way.
Okay.
So get ready for that. You're gonna be our guest.
All right. Well, I always gotta come back for the sex stuff. Why can't I come back for regular topics?
Oh Lord Jesus. Bye, you guys. Bye.